there, friend. Welcome to Start Early Today, your daily dose of mindfulness, positivity, insight, and just a little bit of pep to nudge us in the right direction, shifting our gaze towards the light, making us centered and clear and complete. Like everything is already complete if we make time to just sit and be quiet. Quietness of the mind. Okay? So imagine a big banquet hall, and that's your mind, and people enter, people go. Much like your thoughts just come and go. Imagine them as if they were clouds and just part of your environment. So we can center by bringing attention to the breath and letting the mind run different thoughts. Let it have its opinions and judgments and just be settled in the center. And imagine all thoughts as spheres, like balls. And imagine those balls just getting smaller and smaller. Imagine a big sphere of thought and descending in size, decreasing in size up until it turns into a speck. And eventually it will disappear. And other spheres or balls might pop up and they'll go. And if you do not intervene with it, it will just go. So isn't this fascinating? So we're just here to observe the clouds. A benign observer, an appreciator, a spectator, not being too excited, not too elated, nor too afraid or frazzled or tense, because we are unaffected. We are in equanimity, equalness of mind. So we have learned that to master your life, you gotta master your mind first, because everything happens in your head. Everything's just your perception. If you allow anything to affect you, you have gone too far or too rigid or too specific or too far from your center. So we can always go back to the center by becoming deliberate in our practice. Maybe 1 minute of each hour to take a deep breath, and maybe to roll your shoulders and do some asanas or do a prayer, and to go back to center, the center of which all is. Your Satchitananda, ever new bliss. Your Dzogchen, it is called your pure beingness or pure completeness. Revert to the completeness of what is. And if you really tune in and drop into the present moment, you'll realize that you're just a human sitting on earth peacefully, and all complexities and worries and troubles are self-inflicted. As they say, pain is inevitable. There are many inevitable, painful things in life, which is a part of our learning and growth. But the suffering that we impose on it is optional. Okay, so they say pain is inevitable, but to suffer through that pain is optional. And other people might be really suffering but it is the way they receive it in their minds, which is where the trick is. From the book Man's Search for Meaning, people have described their experience in their captivity, and they are truly in suffering coming from our point of view, but they described themselves to be truly healthy and free in their minds. And leaders have said they could take away anything and everything from me, but the freedom in my thinking, they cannot take that away. And we too also have this freedom, the freedom of what to think. So in our centeredness, we're free to create our own realities. That's the beauty of having a mind. So in your mind, as we imagined it to be a big hall, a big banquet, a big room, maybe a big white museum. Now, there's a bench there. You're just sitting in your lotus. Quiet. Or it can be a park. It can be a garden. So I invite you to become centered and carry this spacious centeredness all throughout the day, and to practice it as your way of being, not being too dramatic as we all tend to be, becoming too dramatic and emotional. Let go of that, my friend. Why? Because it will ease you, it will save you a whole lot of suffering. Suffering is only thoughts that you choose to think. Okay? So in this skill or practice of turning within, becoming really centered, which can be done right now in your full breath. Go into your spine and to your pineal, your third eye. And from the eagle's eye, from the third eye, you see all happening as just a play, a drama, a performance, a Broadway show, okay? If you get too entangled in the show, you're gonna cause pain and suffering towards yourself and maybe others, creating unnecessary complexity. Okay, and we also fall into the trap of doing everything by ourselves. In centeredness, there is humility too. Let go of the need to know. Be okay with what happens next, which is the unknown. We always want to know what's gonna happen next. And if it doesn't go our way, we go berserk. Stop this. Be okay with it. Either it will or it won't. And your behavior towards it is up to you. Remain centered, remain calm. Do what you can, start where you are, use what you have. But know the three divisions of things, which is your business, other people's business, and God's business. That was from Byron Katie, which I found very useful. Know your place in the grand scheme of things, and maybe your role here is to just be here and just to smile and just to tend to your belongings. Okay? Wash yourself and wipe yourself and wipe the countertop. And as you wipe and clean the dishes, empty the mind. It's a good habit stacking. What do you call it? It's good to habit stack mindfulness with dishwashing, because you feel the water and it's a thing that you get to do all the time, and it's a good way to watch your feelings, your emotions. Are you running on some emotions as you take out the trash? Are you grunting and complaining? How do you feel as you brush your teeth? It's good to practice quick self-reflection as you do these things that you do every day, because our lives are made up of these everyday stuff. It's not made up of graduation and promotion. Oh yes, it does happen every once in a while, but most of it is in the transitions, in the in-betweens, my friend. Right now is an in-between. And it is constant. You're constantly transforming from this to that. And are you gonna be awake and present for it? Or are you gonna be always looking forward to the thing that you think will make you happy in the future? That is what we call working towards a promised happiness. But happiness can be brought in here right now by forgetting outcomes, by practicing self-forgetfulness, by thinking of not what is in it for me, but what is in it for the world and for the betterment of the bigger picture. How am I gonna serve? How are you going to serve? Okay? So making the happiness, your centeredness, your life unconditional. Make it unconditional. If you put conditions on things, you'll end up being in a fixed mindset. And as we have discussed, growth mindset that's where the magic is. That is where true life is. That is how you allow miracles to happen in your life. And that's how you are able to see clearly the beauty that is right in front of you. If we set aside all the should and shouldn'ts, okay? I know that there is nothing wrong with anything in the universe. Everything is running in its own accord, on a higher order, greater than our understanding. And our only role here is to just find out how can we make it more of itself. And the higher power is running through you. How are you gonna express it today? Okay? And this is done by being watchful of how we feel. If we feel aligned and connecting and creating, if it feels right, okay? Most times we're caught up in doing, but the action is in the being, my friend. So use the hunch and the heart instead of the head and the hands is a good reminder too. So it It is our responsibility to watch and filter what we think, because what we think will lead us to how we feel, and how we feel will lead us to how we act, and how we act is how we build our lives. Okay, so knowing these principles on the inner workings of the mind will really help us in navigating a life with grace, loving the unlovable, accepting the unacceptable in equanimity. If you take a step back, what makes it unlovable is only an opinion. What makes it unacceptable is only an opinion. If you see the grand scheme of things, everything runs well. We just get frazzled in these micro shifts, because the world is shifting. You are shifting, and sometimes we just get too sensitive if the boat rocks a bit. But we're on a boat. We're on a boat of the unknowns. We can only know very little. How we learn is up to us. Okay, what we will learn, our great mission here in life, is to just be open to the next thing. For today, sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. But how we learn? We're learning through pain, or through suffering, or we learn through joy and gratitude and readiness. So be the stoic, become a warrior. Okay? It's all in your outlook, your attitude. Your attitude starts within. So cultivate a positive mindset. First, go to the center and eternal calm and quiet. And in here, you can find the power. In here, you can find solace and the space where you can design how you're gonna become within the day or within the next hour. How are you gonna become for the next hour? You don't need to think positively to feel the way you need to feel. Okay? If we can only feel what we're thinking, don't we need to think positively to feel that way? We are ever only one thought away from peace, love, and joy, which come from a state of no thought. Okay? In the state of not worrying how you're gonna act, because you are what you are, and you are already happening. You are happening as you are. Imagine a kid just being in flow. Okay? Because that's the common question we ask ourselves. If we can only feel what we are thinking, so we feel because we think that way, don't we need to think positively to feel that way? Know both sides first and choose the more nourishing, the high vibrational, high frequency one. As we have discussed, stay in equanimity, and there are two sides to each story, and there's a better way of going about it. The more nourishing, the more helpful, the more gentle. Okay? And this is how your craftiness in design will come. Because in knowing all your choices, okay, and you can enumerate them, you can enumerate the pros and cons, and with those data, okay, with those data, you can decide in calmness on which way to go, which path to take. Which path is more life-affirming? Which path is more of growth, supportive of my growth? Which path is more non-infringing to others? If it feels right, collaboration runs smoothly. It's just like the breath. It goes in, it goes out. Okay? So if it gets too complex, or you find yourself ruminating, if you find yourself asking it yourself 3 times, the answer is take a step back, leave it alone, put it in the back burner, let it marinate in the Ziploc bag. Okay? Let it marinate, let it grow in the soil. All you gotta do is tend to the soil, water it, support it. And to have positive emotions or to feel good, it doesn't need to be necessary. It's not necessary for you to have positive thoughts. Okay? That's why there's a thing that's been going around that is called toxic positivity. It's obsession with positivity. If you're obsessed with a thing, it's detrimental. That's why I find it a good practice to really get into nothing. To be okay with nothing. The balance of both sides. Okay? That's what I like about mindfulness, because you're not preferring a side over the other. It just is. You can sit up straight. That is it. If you can breathe in peace, that is it. No motivational video or no motivational speech for you to get you out of where you are. You're just it. You're here. You're it. And the God is dancing as you. So it is complete. Dzogchen. D-Z-O-G-C-H-E-N. Dzogchen. It is complete. Nothing to be, nowhere to be. Nothing to fix. And it is an energy. If you are okay with everything, energy rises. Your body heals. New ideas come. Okay? So today I invite you to embody this centeredness and awareness. And I'd like to let you know that there's nothing that you need to be afraid of, my friend. It ain't no thing. Nothing is a thing. You're just another one of those billions, okay? It's nothing special. Nothing special. Us putting specialness in things complicates the matter. Get to the real heart of the matter, which is your spine and your heart, your organs, your affairs, running through its own music. Look up string theory. Everything is vibrating as it is, and nothing is ever really wrong. We put labels, we put categories, but be ready to be surprised. Trade your cleverness for bewilderment and try some new things. Try pathways and gateways to discover new versions of yourself. Creating your future self, pushing yourself, and at the same time, you're present and in equanimity. It is an art, the art of being, the art of life, to become truly awake in your journey, because it is up to you. You can go hard for your goals, and you can go gentle and still And also, all things are done when you stop doing things. That's also the main philosophy of 10x is greater than 2x. Okay? Because in silent meditation, this is where you really find out what is essential, what is important to you. And this is where you can make pivots, like important moves. It can just be a text or a person you connect to that will change the trajectory of your life, which is one of more alignment through your service, through your work, through your creativity. Okay? So make time for action and make each action an inspired inflow action, one that is fully charged with the joy of what's inside of you. So what shall it be for you today? Okay? Make it one of peace, centeredness, and divinity. Hanging out with Thich Nhat Hanh, resting naturally. Suppose someone is holding a pebble and throws it in the air, and the pebble begins to fall down into a river. After the pebble touches the surface of the water, it allows itself to sink slowly into the river. It will reach the bed of the river without any effort. Once the pebble is at the bottom of the river, it continues to rest. It allows the water to pass by. I think the pebble reaches the bed of the river by the shortest path because it allows itself to fall without making any effort. During our sitting meditation, we can allow ourselves to rest like a pebble. We can allow ourselves to sink naturally without effort to the position of sitting, the position of resting. So in this moment of sitting, laying down, or even walking, we can cultivate this natural rest and at peace and at ease with all things, even with yourself. A quote that I've been using lately is, never be heard complaining, even with yourself. Okay? So become watchful. You are at rest. You are naturally resting like the pebble. Imagine the pebble as it falls down. At ease, at peace. No worries. Worries are of the untrained mind. All is decided upon already, in time, in the grand scheme of things, in the intelligent design. It's already designed for you. It is presence. It is just being here. Decisions for the next 3 hours shall be correctly done in the next 3 hours. Okay? So may you rest naturally. Everything that's needed to be done right now are being done right now. Letting yourself just be. Allowing ourselves to sink naturally. Effortless effort. Okay, my friends, I had a beautiful time talking about how the mind works, how our presence is important, how our centeredness is important, and how to become a calm decision maker. Calm decisiveness. Cultivate this calm decisiveness. If you're all tangled up in the head, unwind with a deep breath and rest naturally. We hit our 30-minute mark. That's it for today. God bless you all. Namaste.